Welcome to the Smarter Science of Slim, the scientifically proven program where you eat more and exercise less to burn fat and boost health.
Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. I am so ready for that.
Welcome, everyone. This is the SANE Show, and with me I have Mr. Jonathan Bailor, and I am Carrie Brown.
Carrie Brown, what's up?
It's all good.
We have a new microphone.
Yes, we do. It's incredibly lovely.
Yes, it is. It is an interesting looking microphone, and it forces
Several
us
words
to.
I could use for this, but I think we'll stick with lovely.
I was worried that you were going to use one of those words. This is a family-friendly podcast. Moving on. So, Carrie, last week we told the epic and surprising story of how I can't even believe this, nearly 50-year-old woman with an extremely stressful job who is on medication proven to make it incredibly difficult to burn fat has, without any hunger, without any sense of deprivation, without any calorie counting, and after years of struggle, let's be clear, has restored herself to her optimal health, and then as a byproduct, has restored her body to her optimal body, which happens to be a size 2, and that's because you started from a place of approximately size 0, size 2, so it's not going to be the same for everyone. But as a result of that radical transformation and that epic journey, Carrie, you told me that you've seen some psychological changes which potentially are even more significant than those physical changes. I want to dig into that psychology of sane or slim in today's show.
Psychology is my middle name.
Carrie,
I've
Psychology
had
Brown.
more psychology therapy sessions than you've had hot dinners, Mr. Bailor.
Hot dinners, not actually that many. I'm in mush dinner phase right now because I am an assembler. Actually, I'll tell you this real quick before we get into the psychology. I have a lazy person's cioppino recipe.
Okay.
So are you familiar with the dish cioppino?
No.
Okay, so cioppino is I believe, don't quote me on this, it's like an Italian seafood stew.
Okay.
So generally you can order it at Italian restaurants. It's usually a hearty vegetable-based broth that just has clams, mussels, oysters,
Yum.
salmon, just a bunch of, it's like goulash.
Awesome.
So I said, I like that stuff. And I'm also very frugal, so I don't like spending a lot of money on food.
Yes, he is, people.
So I noticed at Costco, and remember, seafood is, dare I say, the sanest nutrient-dense protein out there. Just seafood, we don't eat enough of it. We need to eat more of it. It's usually a safer bet in this country than eating some of the meat options we have if you're at a conventional grocer. But anyway, I noticed that at Costco, there's an abundance of canned seafood. So you can get canned clams, you can get canned oysters, you can get canned tuna, and you can get canned salmon, all of which do not require any refrigeration, all require no cooking, and all of which are extremely affordable because they're canned.
And they're extremely filling.
And extremely filling. So what I did is I said, buy all that, get an industrial-sized can opener, take it.
I was going to say, there had to be an industrial cart involved in this shopping expedition.
So I got my big bowl, which is huge. I threw it all in the bowl. I took some all-natural marinara sauce that Costco also sells, which has no added sweeteners in it, nothing artificial. It's just like tomatoes, basil, olive oil, et cetera, et cetera. Took some fresh, mashed, or pressed, I think, garlic. Mashed garlic. I just love having a nice plate of mashed garlic, and then my wife is really happy afterwards. And a garlic and just some Italian seasoning. Put that in my bowl. I have just like 3 months worth of inexpensive, easy to prepare Jonathan Bailor version of cioppino.
You're a weirdo.
So anyway, speaking of weird, psychology, what has been going on in your brain, Carrie? Well, that's actually, I don't know if we should ask that question.
Yeah, that's probably not the best question to ask.
So in the context of sanity, what has been going on in your brain?
So you mean since I returned to a size 2?
Correct.
Okay, so where to start?
Well, you mentioned something early about the way you perceive food, and also just after having been, quote unquote, after seeing yourself as you put it, chubby for so long, now seeing yourself as, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, remaining effortlessly slim. And actually, Carrie, just to really drive home that I'm not exaggerating when I say effortlessly slim, really quickly, please explain to the listeners how you've actually taken steps to slow your fat loss because you've been a little concerned that it's happening too rapidly.
Right. I've actually started eating bread and potato just to try and stop any more loss, because if I get any smaller than a 2, I am literally going to have to replace my entire wardrobe. I've already had to go out and buy some new pants because almost every pair of pants in my wardrobe was starting to flap around the back and frankly looked silly.
And
so
just remember, the only reason I say to listeners is not to obviously you know, if you've listened to the show for any period of time, that it definitely hasn't been all, or if you read Carrie's blog, this hasn't been all bunnies and rainbows for Carrie. So this isn't just like, look, Carrie's so awesome. It's more to say that an individual who's approaching 50, incredibly stressful job on these medications, and you actually had a pretty substantial surgery, which generally affects weight. Can you share that just really quickly?
You mean my hysterectomy?
There you go. Yeah. So a lot of people who have that procedure done think it's a death sentence in terms of their waistline because it has such a hormonal impact. I say that only to say that you've got all this stuff going on. You perceived yourself as chubby for years and years and years. And now you are actively having to take steps through eating starch to slow your fat loss because it's happening so quickly. What's that doing to your psychology?
It's because it has happened so fast, my brain hasn't caught up with reality. And so there's still a part of me that still thinks chubby. Mm-hmm. But then I, slide into these pants, or I pull on jeans that 3 months ago I could barely get in, and now I pull them on without undoing the zipper. Mm-hmm. And so my brain's having to catch up with the reality of the situation because it has happened so fast and it's been so easy. But it's very different to live in a slim body than it is a chubby body. For me anyway, it was the way I saw myself, the way I valued myself, the way I felt when I was in a room full of people, the way I dressed. It was, and I didn't realize, I think because I never imagined that I'd get back to being a size 2, that I never realized how my brain had kind of moved into this, you are chubby, you are bad, you are, you want to wear baggy clothes, you don't want people to be able to see, all of that kind of stuff. I hadn't realized how that had become part of my thinking until now. Suddenly 3 months later, I'm a size 2 and I'm skinny again. And now I'm going, wow, this feels really good. I feel, I can walk into anywhere now and feel confident. I feel confident because I'm slim. I feel, and that's not just in an egotistical way, but in I am in control of my body way.
Yes.
That I got my body to look like this and I'm in control of it, and I can dial it up and dial it down. I can put on weight or I can lose weight, and I can do that. So I'm in control. It's actually had a hugely positive impact on my brain in the way I perceive Carrie Brown.
That statement about I feel more in control, that is a gold mine, Carrie, because I think so often trying to slim down one's body is perceived as an effort of vanity. And I think that is not accurate. I think what a lot of us can sometimes experience is life is hard and it's complicated, right? There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of stuff we don't have control over. And like you said, when on top of all of those things that you legitimately have little or no control over, you feel like you can't even control your own body, right. That which, like, if I can control anything, brain says to yourself, it's gotta be my own body, right? Like I choose whether or not I walk up those stairs or not. And why can't I just choose to change the way my body feels? And if you can't, it's a bit like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't have shelter or water, you're not going to be worried about, achieving your professional goals. So there's this hierarchy. So once you get that sense of control, it's not about being a size 0 or a size 2 or a size 4 or a size 6. It's more about regaining that sense of control, because once you master your own body, everything else seems a heck of a lot easier to master. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I just feel overwhelmingly more confident about everything. Like if I can do that, then I can do anything. I kind of feel like Superwoman at the moment.
Which is excellent. And I the other thing that is hard about this journey, but what you're experiencing now, Carrie, is once you go completely sane, as you have over the past few months, you will see the world differently. And once you see the world from that perspective, like until you see the world from that perspective, it's hard to understand how wonderful the world looks from that perspective. So right now, if you're in the place that Carrie was 2 years ago, so size 8, feels like she has no control over her body, no matter, even if she eats 800 calories a day, then in a moment of stress after a hard day's worth of work, eating a glazed donut is going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel good. And you don't know you don't know how good you'd feel if you weren't at that physical state that you're in. But once you get there, so this is why we sometimes recommend just for 21 days, might take a little bit longer, might take a little bit shorter, just go sane, totally sane, hardcore sane for 21 days. Because it's not that on day 22 you'll stop doing that. It's that on day 22 you will know what it feels like to be sane, to be healthy, and to be in control. And Carrie, I want you to speak to this. I guarantee you that will feel better than any processed, addictive, toxic edible product will ever taste.
It does. I mean, I just, it used to be I'd be curled up on the couch with a cat watching a movie, and I'd look down and I'd see my chubby legs, and my immediate, my psychological reaction would be, you're a failure, you're fat, you're, all of that stuff. That doesn't happen now. I look down and go, cute legs, but it's changed everything about the way I see myself. And maybe it shouldn't, but it has.
Yep.
And maybe a lot of that is social crap that that the world tells us, but no matter, that is how I feel. That's how I felt then. This is how I feel now. And it's been awesome.
It is. There's a lot of cultural nonsense involved in this, but the reality is, given that cultural nonsense, given the cultural nonsense that we're exposed to, being chronically dissatisfied with how you look and feel is a bit like having a low-grade infection in your brain. Because, for example, having a low-grade infection in your body, you're just constantly having to fight something off. It would be like trying to run around with a parachute strapped to your back. It's slowing you down. As Carrie just mentioned, and I'm sure as a lot of us have experienced, when you are chronically dissatisfied with your ability to control your body, it's like anytime your brain gets a chance, it's this low-grade punch in the gut. It's just, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. Like Carrie said, look at your chubby legs. Look at your chubby legs. When you go fully sane and get that control back and get your health back, imagine if that, what now is a low-grade infection in your brain that makes you feel bad, flipped and turned into a low-grade continuous turbo boost. So now at all those moments where you would look down or look in the mirror or try something on and be like, you're bad, you're not good enough, you're bad. Every single one of those instances switch to, you're a rock star. You can take over the world. And you can't even help it. Your brain just does that automatically.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I've spent, years and years, whenever I caught a glimpse of myself in a mirror or a window or whatever, the result would be disappointment every time. And, that really wears on you after a while. Well, I don't get that now. Now I catch sight of myself and, well, I'm still, because my brain is still catching up with my body, I'm still like, oh, that's me, Yeah. So it's, I still have to get my brain to catch up with what's happened, but I feel completely different about myself in a very positive way. And I think for me, maybe the added pressure I had was that for 2 years I've been, developing SANE recipes, and and I didn't feel I looked the part, and I'm doing podcasts and telling you all how to do it, but I don't look the part, and I wasn't able to do it with my body. So that added a lot of pressure for me, because I continually felt like I was letting Jonathan down, and I was letting you all down, I was letting the side down, but I couldn't make it work. But now I feel like I'm worthy of you now.
And I hope folks hear what I hear, which is the furthest thing from vanity in that commentary. What I hear is, and this is going to be trite, but if you've ever ridden in an airplane, you know that they tell you that if you're traveling with small children and there's a loss of cabin pressure, to apply your oxygen mask before you apply the oxygen mask to a child. Because when you are fully sane, which again, I mean, Carrie struggled for years and years and years, and it was just as simple as actually go sane. And so when she actually went sane, she essentially applied her oxygen mask and is now able to apply oxygen masks to everyone else, right? So this is the furthest thing from vain. Like, is it vain to keep yourself hydrated? Absolutely not. Because if you don't drink water, you're not going to be able to contribute to this world. You're not going to be able to contribute to your family. You're not going to be able to rock your mission. So is it vain to go completely sane? Absolutely not. It's going to heal you, and it's going to enable you to do that which you were put on this earth to do. And there is, frankly, nothing more selfless than that, because you're dedicating yourself to your ultimate purpose by invigorating your health and optimizing yourself. And I think that's really, really exciting.
Well, don't give up, because it feels really great.
So speaking of feeling great, you did mention some ironic things you noticed in terms of sane psychology, Carrie, where your perception of food has changed. Yes,
I no longer have all these hated food groups. I used to, and the women particularly out there will understand me when I say you get to the point where you look at pizza or you look at ice cream and you feel like you gain weight just looking at it, right? Because that's how it feels. And so you have all these foods that you look at, and they set off this torrent of guilty, bad. If you eat that, you're going to gain 10 pounds. If you eat that, you're weak, you failed. There's just all this negative stuff about all these foods. And I now don't have that. I see it's all food. We all have a choice. So now when I look at pizza, I go, well, there's pizza and that's a choice. But I prefer to do the non-starchy veggies and the chicken and all of that good stuff over here. But I no longer have that I no longer beat myself up every time I think about a bad food choice. I no longer have that guilt. And if I do go out and I do decide, or it's a lovely summer day and I just fancy ice cream and I don't have any that I've made in SANE ice cream in the freezer, I'll have an ice cream and I'll enjoy it, but there's no more beating myself up about it. It's just that, okay, so that wasn't the healthiest choice, but I really enjoyed it, and now I'm going to go back to eating the healthy choices. So that whole guilt thing, torrent of bad messages, has gone away.
To me, it sounds like that's another flavor of the message of control that we talked about earlier, where sometimes if we don't feel like we're in control, so it's late at night, wasn't a good day, go into the cupboard, just eat an entire bag of Oreos. There's this guilt trip because we felt like we fundamentally were not in control. We were not in control of ourselves in that moment. But when you've gone sane in this way, you have that control back. You have the ability to choose. And if you consciously choose to eat something that's insane on occasion, first of all, you've broken the actual neurological addiction, so it's not going to cause you to go bananas. Secondarily, how you approach it will be different. It will be less this sense of almost a desperation and taking solace, almost like using food as a drug, right? Really, versus using food as a treat. Right. And I think that's the big difference. Can you treat yourself? Of course, you can do whatever you want. It's just a series of choices, but you can't treat yourself to heroin. Heroin doesn't work that way. Right? It doesn't work that way. And if you're currently in this chronic sugar addicted state, an insane state, these treats aren't treats. But once you get that sense of control back and you can choose to see them as treats, I feel like that too empowers you.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's just that whole if I eat that, I failed. If I eat that, I'm not good enough. That's just gone away. And the other thing is that because I was hardcore sane, a lot of the pull of the starch and the sweets it's completely gone away. I don't really enjoy they insanely sweet now.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy them as much. I haven't found one thing that was as good as I remembered when I ate it.
Yep.
So hands up, went out on Saturday with a girlfriend and her 2 little kids, and we went to Pizza Hut, and I ate pizza, and it just didn't give me that. It just didn't taste like in my mind as good as it was. So I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like it used to be. So that kind of addiction has gone away. And I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to rush to do it again. And I did go into a carb coma afterwards. Went home and had a 2-hour nap. And I just don't enjoy the way that feels because I don't feel like that ever now. So when I do, it's much more noticeable. And I don't want to feel like that. I mean, I don't want to waste 2 hours of my Saturday sleeping because I can't stay awake just because I eat pizza.
And it highlights a great point for us to close on, Carrie, and that's we talked earlier in the series, and I talk about this in the book, The Calorie Myth, about using the metaphor of a broken ankle to talk about your broken metabolism, and how you, Carrie, for example, before you went, you had a completely broken metabolism when you were at a size 8. Then because you're a naturally slim person, not that a size 8 is objectively large, you're a naturally slim person who was originally at a size 0/2, went up to a size 8. That was overweight for you. You had a broken metabolism. You then did some things. You went pseudo-sane to try to heal it a bit, and you did. That brought you down to a size 6, but still not at your natural healthy state. You then applied a therapeutic dose of nutrition. You went completely sane. And in only a few months, you healed your metabolism. And after having a healed metabolism, 2 things you've mentioned. 1, you ate pizza and it didn't make you gain 5 pounds. 2, you are intentionally eating certain starches now because you actually want to slow your fat loss so you don't run out of clothes.
Right.
Now, think back to that broken ankle analogy. When you have a broken ankle, you put it in a cast for a little while. You can't use it. Like, you're hardcore. The ankle is in a cast.
Right.
But then once you've given it that opportunity to heal, certainly you won't want to do the same things you did to break your ankle originally, but your ankle is healed now. So if you happen to roll it a little bit, it's okay. And that's the beautiful thing here is when you go, as we've seen here with Carrie, when you go sane, really, that doesn't mean you can never do anything else.
Right.
It means you get back to that state of healthy, you get back to lowering your set point, and then your body will fight to keep you at that healthy point.
Right.
Which is great.
Right. And that has been, Jonathan has always said these things, but I'd never experienced it. But now I have experienced it. And I can tell you, for me, certainly it was absolutely true that once I healed the hormones, it was magic, just magic. I just melted.
I love it. I love melting people. Well, that sounds a little odd, but anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. And remember, this week and every week after, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. We'll chat with you soon.
See ya.
Wait, don't stop listening yet.
You can get fabulous free SANE recipes over at carriebrown.com.
And don't forget your 100% free eating and exercise quick start program, as well as free, fun, daily tips delivered right into your inbox at bailorgroup.com. That's BAILOR group.com.